Daniel Rook had been a starship captain for many years, but he still felt a quiet joy every time he stood on the bridge of the small exploration vessel Horizon Light. The ship was not large and not famous, but it was strong, reliable, and filled with a crew that trusted one another. Among that crew was an Avali maid named Lyra, a gentle alien who had joined the team only 6 weeks earlier. She came from a peaceful species known for their soft voices, calm manners, and natural desire to assist others. Daniel often found her moving quietly around the ship, cleaning tools, organizing supplies, and offering water or warm towels to tired crew members. She never raised her voice, never complained, and never asked for anything. But Daniel had noticed something else too. Lyra always tried to learn new tasks, especially anything connected to humans. She would watch Daniel from a distance whenever he worked with the ship's controls. Whenever he showed the crew how to use a scanner or repair a panel, she would stand behind them with her hands clasped together, copying the motions in the air. She wanted to learn everything, but she struggled with human machines. Her energy field sometimes interfered with the tools, making simple tasks more complicated for her. Still, she never stopped trying. That evening, the Horizon Light had completed a long supply run to a tiny research station orbiting a quiet star. The crew was tired, and most of them went to rest early. Daniel stayed a little longer on the bridge, checking their route and confirming that the ship was safe for the night. When he finally turned toward the door, he saw Lyra waiting in the hallway. She looked nervous, as if she had been standing there for several minutes. Her bright silver eyes lifted when she saw him. "Captain Daniel." "May I ask something?" Daniel smiled. "Of course, Lyra, what do you need?" She hesitated. Her fingers twisted together, a sign Daniel recognized as pure anxiety. Lyra always did that when she felt scared or unsure. Her voice came out soft and slightly shaky. Can we try it again tonight?" Daniel blinked in surprise. He needed a moment to understand what she meant. Then he remembered the training session earlier that morning. Lyra had asked him if she could learn how to use a basic human repair kit. She wanted to practice fixing a small maintenance panel. Daniel had said yes because he believed in helping his crew grow. But the training had not gone well. Whenever Lyra touched the tools, the metal reacted strangely to her natural aura. The lights flickered, the tool vibrated, and she dropped it twice. She became embarrassed and asked to stop. Daniel had gently told her there was no rush and she could try another day. He never imagined she would ask again so soon. "You want to practice again?" he asked. Lyra nodded quickly. "If you allow." "I want to do better. I want to learn." Daniel could see the worry behind her calm tone. Something felt off. She seemed too anxious, too urgent, as if there was more she wasn't telling him. But Daniel didn't push her. He had learned long ago that Lyra only opened up when she felt safe, not when she felt pressured. "All right," he said kindly. "Let's try again. But slowly, and only if you're comfortable." Her eyes filled with relief so bright that Daniel wondered what was truly happening inside her heart. She bowed slightly in the graceful way of her people. "Thank you, Captain. Thank you very much." They walked to the small engineering practice room together. The ship hummed softly around them, a steady sound that always made Daniel feel at home. Lyra walked beside him with her hands folded, her steps light and almost silent. She had an elegant way of moving, like someone trained all her life to appear calm even when she wasn't. Inside the practice room, Daniel turned on the light and opened the training locker. He took out the same basic repair kit from earlier. Lyra watched him closely, her eyes studying every movement. She looked like she wanted to memorize each detail. Daniel placed the kit on the table. "All right," he said kindly. "We'll start with the simplest tool. No pressure. Take your time." Lyra nodded, but the tension in her shoulders didn't go away. Daniel picked up a small scanner and handed it to her. The moment her fingers touched it, the scanner flickered once as if confused. Lyra sucked in a quiet breath and held it tightly so she wouldn't drop it again. "You're doing fine," Daniel said gently. "Just hold it steady. It reacts to energy, so it's okay if it flickers. Keep breathing." She obeyed, but Daniel could see how hard she was fighting panic. Her breaths came too fast and her hands trembled just a little. She knew the tool was safe, yet she behaved like someone who had much more to lose than a simple training exercise. After a few minutes, she relaxed enough to stop the trembling. She used the tool on the practice panel, but again the lights above them flickered faintly. She gasped and quickly pulled her hand away, dropping the scanner onto the table. "I failed again," she whispered. Daniel shook his head. No, you didn't. It's just part of the learning. You're not used to human tools. It's completely normal. But Lyra didn't seem convinced. She stared at the scanner with a look of deep sadness. Daniel realized this wasn't just frustration. It was fear, and it was heavy. Lyra, he said softly, you don't have to push yourself so hard. You can take your time. Learning doesn't have to happen in a single night. Her voice shook as she whispered, but I don't have time. Daniel felt a cold feeling in his chest. He had suspected something was wrong, but hearing those words confirmed it. Lyra backed away a step, lowering her head as if she had said too much. He approached her slowly, careful not to frighten her. Lyra, what do you mean you don't have time? What's going on? She shook her head quickly. Nothing, Captain, I'm fine. I only want to learn, please. Please help me. Daniel didn't believe her. Not fully. But he also knew that pushing her too hard would close her heart instead of opening it. So he nodded gently. All right, he said. Let's pause for a moment. You're overwhelmed. Sit, breathe, relax. We'll try again in a few minutes. To his surprise, Lyra's legs gave out slightly, as if the stress had been too much for her body. Daniel caught her gently before she fell, helping her sit down on a small bench. She covered her face with both hands, hiding her expression, something she rarely did. I'm sorry, she whispered. I'm causing trouble. No, Daniel said firmly. You're not causing trouble. You're struggling with something, and that's okay. You're not alone here. She stayed silent for a long moment. Then she whispered, barely louder than a breath. If I fail again, my clan will take me back. They don't want me to stay with humans if I cannot complete my tasks. I chose you as my guardian, but I must prove I can serve well. If I fail the test, they will remove me from your ship. Daniel felt his heart tighten. So that was the truth. She wasn't training for herself. She was training for survival, her place, her freedom, her chance to stay with the crew she admired, and she was terrified of losing all of it. Daniel sat beside her, speaking in a calm voice. Lyra, you won't face this alone. I'm your captain, and you're part of this crew. We're going to get through this together. She looked at him with wide, wet eyes filled with fear and hope at the same time. Can we try again tonight? She repeated softly as if the words carried her whole future. Daniel nodded gently. Yes, we'll try again. And again, as many times as you need. In that quiet room, with the ship humming softly around them, Lyra felt something she had not felt for a long time. Someone believing in her, instead of doubting her. And Daniel felt the beginning of a deeper responsibility, one he could not ignore anymore. Night training was no longer just about tools. It was about saving someone who wanted nothing more than to stay by his side. The next morning on the horizon light felt quieter than usual. The crew moved around the ship calmly, but Daniel noticed that Lyra stayed close to the walls, avoiding attention. She kept her hands folded tightly and her eyes lowered, as if afraid someone might read her thoughts. Daniel wanted to speak to her more about what she had revealed last night, but he also knew she needed time to breathe. Her world had become too heavy too quickly. Still, the worry followed him wherever he went. As he walked through the ship, checking stations and reading routine reports, he could not stop thinking about her trembling voice. She had said her clan would take her away. She had said she chose him as her guardian. Daniel didn't fully understand a Valley culture, but he understood fear in someone's eyes. Lyra had not been exaggerating. She was running out of time. Later that afternoon, Daniel finally saw her in the supply bay. She was sorting food packages with slow, careful movements. Usually she worked with graceful rhythm, but today she seemed distracted. When Daniel approached, she flinched slightly before relaxing again. Lyra, he said softly. How are you feeling? She forced a small smile, but her eyes remained sad. I am fine, Captain. Thank you for asking. Daniel could hear the strain in her voice. If you want to talk about last night, I'm here. She shook her head a little too fast. It is my duty to handle it. I don't want to worry you. You're part of my crew, Daniel reminded her. If something threatens you, then it becomes my problem too. Her fingers tightened on the box she was holding. She stayed silent for a long time, then finally whispered, My clan believes humans are too intense. They fear your emotions, your courage, your unpredictable nature. They think I might change if I stay with humans. They think it is dangerous. Daniel raised an eyebrow. Dangerous in what way? Lyra hesitated again. Aveli maids must stay gentle. We serve, we support, we follow rules. But humans are brave, bold, strong. My clan fears I might start thinking like a human, and that is forbidden for a maid who belongs to a clan. Daniel felt a strange ache inside his chest, anger at the idea that someone wanted to take her freedom away, and sympathy for the quiet sadness she carried. You don't belong to anyone, he said gently. Not to me, not to them. You deserve the right to choose your own path. Lyra's eyes softened, but her voice remained quiet. My clan disagrees. They say I must return unless I pass my training test, and if I fail, they will come for me. Daniel took a deep breath. How much time do you have? She lowered her gaze. One more cycle. Maybe two, but I think they are already watching. Daniel froze. Watching? What do you mean? She pressed her hands together, nervous again. My people travel silently. They might send a retrieval ship. They might contact your command. They might appear without warning. Before Daniel could respond, a soft alarm chimed from the overhead speaker. It wasn't a dangerous alarm, just a long-range detection alert. But the timing made Daniel stiffen. He walked to the nearest panel and checked the data. A small vessel had appeared on their far-edge sensors, too distant to identify but close enough to cause suspicion. Lyra's breath caught. Captain, is it them? Daniel didn't want to worry her, but he also didn't believe in lying to his crew. I don't know yet, he said honestly. But whatever happens, you're not facing it alone. Do you understand me? She nodded, though the fear in her eyes remained. The day continued with growing tension. The crew noticed Daniel checking the sensors more often than usual, and Lyra kept glancing toward the ceiling as if expecting the ship to shake any moment. She tried to work, but her hands trembled too much to stay steady. Daniel finally told her to rest, but she refused. She said she needed to be useful. She said she wanted to stay close in case training had to continue. Near evening, when most of the crew rested or worked quietly at their stations, Daniel found Lyra sitting alone in the engineering practice room. The tools were laid out neatly on the table, but she was just staring at them without touching anything. When she saw Daniel, she stood quickly. I wanted to practice again, she said. Before the ship comes closer. Daniel moved to her side. You don't have to force yourself when you're scared. She shook her head. If I don't learn, they will take me away. Captain, I don't want to leave your ship. I feel safe here. I feel welcomed. I don't want to lose that. Daniel sat down and motioned for her to sit too. She obeyed, folding her hands tightly. Then we'll practice. But you're not going to do it alone. I'm with you, and fear won't control us. This time he approached the training with even more patience. He showed her how to breathe slowly before touching the tool. He guided her hand gently so she could feel the shape and warmth of the metal. The tool flickered when she touched it, but Daniel didn't react, and his calmness helped her steady her own emotions. You see, he said softly, it's not fighting you. It's just adjusting. I want to do well, she whispered. I want to prove that I belong here. And you do, Daniel said firmly. Even without any test. She looked at him for a moment, searching his expression as if she needed his words to become something she could hold inside her heart. But as soon as she tried the second tool, her energy reacted again. The lights flickered, the tool vibrated, and Lyra froze. She didn't drop it this time, but she looked as if she were holding something too heavy for her courage. Daniel placed his hand on hers gently. Breathe. You're okay. Her breathing slowed. She kept holding the tool until the vibrations faded away. Then she lowered it onto the table carefully. Good, Daniel said. You didn't give up. That's what matters. But Lyra didn't look proud. She looked guilty. She whispered, I am slowing you down. I am wasting your time. The crew needs you and I am only adding trouble. Daniel shook his head. You're worth the time. You're one of us. Her voice trembled. My clan thinks humans change others. They say humans give people courage they should not have. They think courage leads to mistakes. Daniel gave a small smile. Maybe humans do change others. Maybe we bring out courage. But courage isn't a mistake. It's strength. Lyra lowered her gaze as if she wanted to believe him, but fear still held her back. Before their conversation could continue, a sharp beep echoed from the hallway. It was the long-range alarm again, louder this time. Daniel tensed and opened the nearest screen. The unknown vessel had moved closer, too close for coincidence. Lyra covered her mouth with both hands. Her voice was barely a whisper. They found me. Daniel stood tall. Not without going through me first. She stared at him, shocked. Captain, you cannot oppose them. They will not understand. Then I'll make them understand, Daniel said calmly. This ship protects its crew. That includes you. She stood trembling, torn between fear and hope. Captain, if they take me, I will never return. A maid who fails her guardian's trial is not allowed to rejoin the same crew. Daniel's voice became firm, almost unshakable. I won't let them take you. Her breath hitched. She had never heard him speak with that much certainty before. She placed a hand on her chest, trying to stop her heart from racing. Outside the ship, the unknown vessel slowly approached, silent and steady, like a shadow waiting to reveal its identity. Lyra stepped closer to Daniel. Captain, I am scared. Daniel looked at her with steady eyes. Then you stand by me. Fear doesn't win when we face it together. For the first time since joining the crew, Lyra didn't feel like a fragile maid. She felt like someone worth fighting for, someone who mattered, someone who wasn't alone. As the alarm pulsed again and the ship's sensors sharpened their reading, the truth settled over them like a distant storm finally reaching the sky. Whatever was coming next would change everything. For Lyra, for Daniel, and for the Horizon Light. And the night was far from over. The atmosphere inside the Horizon Light changed the moment the unknown vessel crossed into close-range detection. The gentle hum of the ship now felt heavier, as if the metal walls understood the tension rising between everyone on board. Daniel stood on the bridge, watching the screen as the approaching ship slowly became clearer. Its shape was long, curved and glowing faintly with soft blue energy. Lyra stood behind him with her hands pressed together tightly, her eyes wide with fear. Daniel didn't need the computer to confirm it. He knew from the shape of the vessel what it was. He glanced back at Lyra. She already understood. It is an Aveli retrieval ship, she whispered. They came early. I thought they would wait. I thought I still had one more cycle. Daniel placed a steady hand on the console. They won't take you without talking to me. Lyra swallowed, her voice trembling. Captain, if they speak to you, they will use rules. Aveli rules, and Aveli rules do not understand human feelings. They only understand duty. Daniel replied firmly. Duty works both ways. My duty is to protect my crew. As the ship came closer, the communication channel flashed with an incoming request. The signal carried the same soft harmonic frequency that all Aveli technology used. The sound alone made Lyra flinch. Daniel accepted the call. A hollow image appeared above the console, showing a tall Aveli officer wearing ceremonial silver clothing. His face was calm but strict, his eyes sharp like cold glass. Two other officers stood behind him with their hands held in the traditional Aveli posture of authority. Human Captain Daniel Rook, the officer began, his voice smooth but distant. I am Commander Thalen of the Aveli Retrieval Council. We are here for the maid registered as Lyra of the Silver Bloom clan. You will release her to us immediately. Lyra stepped back, shaking. Daniel moved slightly in front of her, not aggressive but protective. I'm not handing her over without explanation, Daniel said clearly. She's part of my crew. She belongs on this ship. Thalen raised an eyebrow. A maid never belongs to a human crew. She belongs to her clan. She serves under permission, not freedom. Her permit has been withdrawn. She failed the required progress. That is enough. Daniel clenched his jaw. She hasn't failed anything. She's still learning. Her trial was meant to be completed by now, Thalen said. The clan reports she is not meeting standards. Retrieval is the proper step. Lyra stepped forward a little, fear trembling through her voice. Commander Thalen, I want to stay here, please. I can complete the test if... Thalen cut her off. You have already failed. A maid should not find comfort in a human ship. You are at risk of becoming influenced. You will return immediately. Daniel took a measured breath. He knew this conversation required calm strength, not anger. Commander Thalen, he said evenly. Lyra requested additional training time. I granted it. She is making progress. That is not for you to decide, Thalen replied coldly. Daniel stepped closer to the hollow image. She is under my command while on my ship. That gives me the right to complete her evaluation. Thalen paused for the first time. The officers behind him exchanged uncertain glances. Daniel pressed on. If you follow Aveli rules so strictly, then you know very well that once a maid chooses a guardian, the guardian has the right to complete her training before any final judgment. Thalen narrowed his eyes. That rule applies only if the Guardian accepts the responsibility formally. I accept it. Daniel's voice didn't shake. I accepted it the moment she joined my crew, and I will not let anyone interfere with her growth. Behind him, Lyra's breath caught softly. She had never heard a human speak for her with such certainty. Thalen studied Daniel for a long moment, then said, "The trial must show clear progress. If she fails again, she will return to us. And your refusal today will be recorded." "Record anything you want," Daniel replied. "But I'm finishing what we started." The hollow image flickered and vanished. The connection cut. The retrieval ship remained nearby, silent but watching like a judge waiting for a verdict. Lyra sank slowly onto a nearby chair, trembling. "Captain, what have you done? They will be angry. They will punish you." Daniel looked down at her with steady eyes. "Let them be angry. I'm not afraid of them." "But they are strict," she whispered. "Avili rules do not bend." "Then they'll break against me," Daniel said. Lyra stared at him in shock. She wasn't used to this kind of strength. Her people valued quiet obedience. Daniel's kind valued loyalty, courage, and protection. She didn't understand how someone could defend her so strongly without expecting anything in return. It felt unreal, unexpected, overwhelming. Daniel knelt in front of her. "Listen to me," he said softly. "I saw how hard you tried yesterday. I know how scared you are. But fear doesn't define you. You're stronger than you think." She shook her head. "I am not strong. I am only a maid." "You're more than that," Daniel said firmly. "And tonight you'll prove it." Her breath quivered. "Tonight?" "They said the final test must be shown soon." Daniel nodded. "Then we start right now, and we don't stop until you're ready." Lyra's hands trembled, not from fear now, but from something like hope. "But Captain, what if I fail again?" Daniel held her gaze. "Then we try again. And again. Failure doesn't stop us. It only teaches us. Humans think like that," she whispered. "Aveli do not." Daniel smiled slightly. "Then maybe it's time you learn to think like a human." Her eyes widened and her heart stirred strangely. Not fear, something warmer. Daniel offered his hand. "Come on, we have work to do." They returned to the training room where the tools were still set out from earlier. The gentle lights above them hummed softly, as if encouraging them to begin. Daniel taught her slowly, repeating each step until she understood it deeply. He let her hold the tool longer this time, guiding her hand only when she froze. When her energy made the tool flicker, he stayed calm, telling her to breathe and focus. Lyra tried again and again. Sometimes she succeeded, sometimes she failed. But each time she failed, Daniel stood beside her, helping her understand why, helping her grow from it instead of shrinking in fear. The hours passed quietly, filled with steady effort. Lyra's hands no longer shook by the 3rd hour. By the 5th hour, she learned how to adjust her energy field so the tool vibrated less. By the 7th hour, she repaired a tiny training panel completely on her own. Her eyes widened in surprise and joy. "Captain, I did it," Daniel smiled. "I told you you could." A small sound escaped her, half a gasp, half a soft laugh. It was the first time Daniel had ever heard her make a sound of pure happiness, but the moment was cut short when an alert chimed. Through the ship again, the retrieval vessel was contacting them. Daniel looked at Lyra. "Are you ready?" Her legs trembled, but she stood up straight. "If I am standing with you?" "Yes." "I'm ready." Daniel opened the channel. Commander Thalen reappeared, expression unreadable. "Has the test been completed?" Daniel stepped aside so Lyra could face the hollow image. "She completed it," Daniel said. "All tasks required for a maid to pass her guardian's evaluation." Thalen looked at Lyra. "Is this true?" Lyra nodded strongly. "Yes, I learned. I improved. I can do the work now." Thalen studied her carefully, then turned his attention back to Daniel. "Very well. Show us the result." Lyra took a deep breath. Her hands were steady. Her eyes were calm. She stepped forward, picked up the tool, and performed the same repair she had practiced. This time the tool didn't flicker. The panel responded smoothly. When she finished, the screen displayed a bright green light. Successful. Thalen's strict expression cracked slightly. Behind him, the other officers murmured in surprise. After a long silence, Thalen spoke. "Lyra, your progress is acceptable. The clan will allow you to remain with your chosen guardian." Lyra let out a trembling breath of relief. Daniel placed a steady hand on her shoulder. Thalen added, However, your guardian must continue your training. You must maintain discipline, Lyra nodded quickly. I will. I promise, Daniel answered calmly. And she will stay safe with us. Thalen gave a slow nod. Then the hollow image dissolved. The retrieval ship turned slowly and drifted away until its glow disappeared into the dark of space. Lyra sank to her knees, overwhelmed. Daniel caught her gently. It's over, he said softly. You did it. Tears shone in her eyes, but her smile was warm and real. I stayed because of you. Daniel shook his head. You stayed because of your own courage. I only helped you see it. For the first time since joining the Horizon Light, Lyra felt free. Not from her clan, but from her own fear. And Daniel knew as he helped her stand again, that whatever journey lay ahead, they would face it together. The next morning on the Horizon, light felt different, almost brighter, even though the stars outside remained the same endless pattern. The crew moved with their usual calm, but there was a gentle excitement beneath the surface. News spread quickly among them. Lyra had passed her trial. The Aveli retrieval ship had left, and the danger of losing her had finally disappeared. But Daniel knew the journey wasn't finished. What Lyra needed now was not just safety from her clan, but confidence in herself. Lyra walked through the ship slowly, still trying to understand the feeling of relief settling inside her chest. She had never imagined she would stay after the retrieval ship arrived. She had prepared herself for the worst, for being taken away, for losing the place that felt more like home than the quiet halls of her clan. Now every corridor felt like a miracle she was still allowed to walk through. Every sound of the ship felt like a promise that she still belonged. Daniel found her near the observation window, staring out at the stars with her hands folded gently in front of her. She turned when she heard his footsteps, her eyes soft and bright. Good morning, Captain, she said quietly. Good morning, Lyra, Daniel replied. How are you feeling? She thought for a moment before answering. Light, but also strange. Like my heart forgot how to rest calmly and now it is learning again. Daniel smiled. That sounds like a good thing. She looked down shyly. Captain. Thank you. If you didn't stand up for me, they would have taken me away. Daniel shook his head gently. You passed the test because you worked hard. You stayed because you chose to. I only made sure you had the chance. Lyra blinked slowly, touched by his words. I still don't know how I succeeded. I was so scared, but you still did it, Daniel said. Courage doesn't mean no fear. It means acting even when you're scared. Lyra held those words quietly in her chest, as if storing them somewhere important. The ship continued its journey through calm space, heading toward their next exploration point, a nebula with strange mineral clouds that scientists on the nearest station wanted samples from. The crew prepared systems and checked supplies. Lyra moved among them with a new steadiness, though she still felt shy whenever someone praised her. Around midday, Daniel found her in the engineering room again, gently cleaning the tools she had practiced with. She did it with slow, thoughtful movements, almost like she was thanking them. You're back here already? Daniel asked. Lyra smiled faintly. I wanted to see if the tools react the same way now, when I am not scared. Daniel stepped beside her. Try one. She took a deep breath, picked up the tool, and held it carefully. It hummed softly in her hand, but the flicker was gentler, not panicked like before. She focused her energy calmly, remembering Daniel's guidance from the night before. The tool steadied, glowing with a soft blue light. Lyra gasped softly in delight. It works? Even without your help, Daniel nodded proudly. See? You've grown. She looked at the tool, then at him. I want to learn more. Not because of the test, because I like being useful to the crew. I want to help with real tasks, not just cleaning and organizing. We'll make that happen, Daniel said. You've earned the chance. The moment felt warm, but their calm didn't last long. A sudden beep echoed through the room, followed by a ship-wide announcement from the navigation officer. Captain, there's a slight energy ripple ahead. Not dangerous, but unusual. You might want to see this. Daniel excused himself and walked to the bridge. Lyra followed at a careful distance, curious but respectful. On the main screen, swirling colors filled the space ahead. Shades of purple, green, and gold mixing together like a living painting. A small energy signature pulsed in the center. What do you think caused it? Daniel asked the officer. We're not sure, sir. Could be a natural phenomenon or something artificial hidden inside the clouds. Lyra stepped closer. Captain, Aveli ships use similar energy ripples when they hide something important. The pattern is not the same, but close, Daniel frowned. Are you saying this could be connected to your people? Lyra shook her head. Not my clan, but maybe another Aveli group, or a lost object, or something else entirely. I don't know. Curiosity pushed Daniel to investigate. Prepare a small shuttle. Lyra, come with me. You know Aveli energy better than the rest of us. Her eyes widened. Me, but Captain, I am only learning. Daniel placed a reassuring hand on her shoulder. Yes, and learning doesn't happen only in safe places. Come with me. Within minutes, they took a shuttle into the glowing clouds. Lyra sat beside Daniel, her hands resting calmly on her lap but her heart beating quickly. The nebula swirled around them, beautiful and strange, painting their shuttle with soft colors. Inside the energy field, they found something unexpected, a floating sphere, silver and smooth, covered in tiny light patterns. It looked like ancient Aveli craftsmanship. What is that? Daniel asked. Lyra leaned closer to the screen. It is an Aveli memory core, very old. Some cores were lost centuries ago. If this is one of them, it might carry history, songs, messages, or instructions from ancient times. That sounds important, Daniel said. Let's bring it aboard. They carefully pulled the sphere into the shuttle and returned to the horizon light. The crew gathered around, fascinated. Lyra felt a strange mix of excitement and nervousness. She had never touched something so precious from her own people. When Daniel gave her permission, she placed her hand lightly on the sphere. Soft rings of light rippled outward. The sphere responded to her touch, opening slowly like a blooming flower. Inside, it revealed glowing symbols floating in the air. Lyra gasped. It's a message. From the First Guardians. Daniel stepped closer. What does it say? Lyra read the symbols carefully. Her voice trembled with awe. It says, those who choose their own path must not be chained by old fears. True growth comes when courage meets kindness. Daniel blinked slowly. That almost sounds like advice, Lyra nodded. My clan often forgot these teachings. They became strict. They became afraid of change. Maybe they needed this reminder, Daniel said softly. The rest of the crew watched with quiet respect. Lyra gently closed the sphere, afraid of damaging the ancient artifact. She looked at Daniel, her silver eyes glowing with a mix of pride and relief. Captain, this message fits everything that happened, she whispered. It feels like it was meant for us, Daniel smiled. Maybe it was. They contacted the Aveli archives and informed them of the discovery. Instead of anger, the Aveli scholars reacted with deep gratitude. They thanked Daniel and Lyra for returning the lost core. They also sent an official message to Lyra's clan, reminding them of the ancient teachings, the teachings they had forgotten. When the message arrived, Lyra read it with tears in her eyes. The clan acknowledged their mistake. They apologized for acting out of fear, and most importantly, they declared that Lyra was now free to choose her own guardian and her own future, with no conditions, no tests, no restrictions. Lyra couldn't speak for several seconds. Her heart felt too full, Captain, she whispered at last. I am free. Daniel placed a warm hand on her shoulder. You always were, she shook her head gently. No, not until today. Now I choose to stay, not because I must, but because I want to. Daniel smiled. Then welcome home, Lyra. The crew celebrated quietly, respecting Aveli customs but still showing their happiness. Lyra walked through the ship with new confidence, her steps lighter, her voice steadier, her heart no longer weighed down by fear. That night, after finishing her tasks, she found Daniel in the observation room. The stars shimmered outside like endless silver dust. She stood beside him and whispered, Captain, can we continue training tomorrow? Daniel looked at her with a warm expression. Of course. We can train as long as you want. Lyra smiled, a real bright smile she rarely let herself show. I am ready to learn everything. And this time, not because I am scared, because I believe I can, Daniel nodded, and I believe in you. The stars drifted quietly beyond the glass, the horizon light moving forward through calm space. Lyra felt her new future stretching ahead, free, warm, and full of possibilities. For the first time, she wasn't just a maid following orders. She was a crew member with courage, chosen not by duty but by her own heart. and she knew deep inside that her story with the Horizon Light and its human captain was only just beginning.